It's deadline time for Florida State and Clemson to make a decision for 2025. Will they move to the Big Ten next year or not? Lockdown Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. We're jam-packed here today. ACC schools, Florida State and Clemson, they got a deadline of Thursday to decide where they're going to play football the following year. All right. The Buckeyes with a rare recruiting miss and some news about Michigan and Jim Harbaugh I got right before we started this podcast. I'll share that with you. Plus our power rankings. We're going to look at the AP Top 25. How many Big Ten teams got in? How many should be in? So we got a lot to do right here. Thanks for joining us. So let's talk about this Thursday, August 15th. That is the deadline for teams to leave the ACC in time for the 2025 season if they should decide to do so. As you know, ACC schools get pennies on the dollar for their media rights deal compared to lucrative conferences like the Big Ten and the SEC. As you also know, the ACC deal is not only low paying, it is also long-term. ACC schools are under contract with this horrible media rights deal until 2036. Think about that for a minute. Conferences like the Big Ten and the SEC not only make way more money with their current media deals, but they will have negotiated additional future deals in that time. More lucrative media rights deals are coming before the ACC even gets a chance to get out of this deal that they're under and negotiate a new deal. It is going to cost big time if you're in the ACC. In fact, the cost of the ACC schools, in particular football powerhouses like Florida State and Clemson, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars when you add up exit fees and revenues for media for the upcoming years that they would be missing out on. I mean, it's closer to $1 billion than like a $500 million. That's how far, when I say hundreds of millions of dollars. It is our contention that schools like these will leave the ACC eventually. Some like Florida State and Clemson will join, more so maybe Florida State will join the Big Ten in another expansion realignment move, and the ACC will fall apart because other schools will follow and look for other places to go, and will be a step closer to expanded Big Ten and expanded SEC super power conferences controlling big boy football in the future. That's our position here on Locked On Big Ten. That is the direction we're going. Florida State and Clemson are presently trying to sue their way out of the ACC in separate cases in separate states. The ACC is countersuing both member schools, and according to ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips, will fight tooth and nail for the status quo to keep both of its marquee programs and anyone else who's thinking of leaving and make them honor this deal. The ACC says that their media deal with its member institutions is ironclad. And it states that if its members leave on their own, that they would have to pay an exit fee of nearly $140 million, plus, as I mentioned earlier, forfeit the hundreds of millions of dollars in broadcast rights and monies for their home games through 2036, no matter where they are, whether they're in the ACC or not. Now, while all sides have been embroiled in battle in the courtroom, we've been watching to see if a settlement would be reached this summer, because if a team would like to leave the conference in time to play elsewhere for the 2025 season, the deadline for such an announcement is Thursday, August 15th. So we've been keeping an eye on it. We've been talking about it here on Locked On Big Ten. So where do things stand now? Well, according to a Yahoo Sports report late last week, both sides started mediation this week. It was ordered by one of the judges 3 months ago. He gave him like 120 days to get into it. We're like in day 113 right now. So it's time. This is ordered by a judge to get into this mediation and try to figure this out. By the way, a mediator's job is to jump in to a legal conflict and encourage resolution. that can lead to some sort of compromise for both sides. Now, that's a far cry from Jim Phillips' statement just last month when he said that the ACC would fight tooth and nail to keep these teams. Mentioned that at their media days just last month. Now we got a mediator trying to figure all this out. Again, a judge ordered it, though. Now, his problem is, Jim Phillips, once mediation is reached, Florida State and Clemson could decide to pay to get out. But other schools like North Carolina, Virginia, Miami, anybody else that wants to run for greener pastures and follow them out the door can and will, and the ACC will implode. That's one scenario. Another, coming off of mediation, maybe they're discussing that the ACC will pay a larger percentage of its monies to those football powerhouses that garner more attention, like Florida State and Clemson would get more than, say, Virginia Tech or Duke, perhaps. Right now, they all get the same amount. But then you'd have a mutiny on your hands from the other member schools. They wouldn't go for that. By the way, that was something that Florida State had discussed last year. And then when they were told no, that's when the lawsuits started filing. So Florida State did bring this up. See if we circle back to that in mediation talk. That would keep them, for the time being, in the ACC. So meanwhile, the Big Ten and the SEC are all quiet on this front because they don't want to appear to be facilitators of a conference blowing up like the Pac-12 just did. Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti and SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey both stated almost identical quotes at their respective media days and the press conferences last month, when they both said, hey, we're good with our current membership. SEC said, we're good with 16 teams. Tony Petitti said, we're good with 18 teams. We're fine. Hands off. Whatever happens, happens. Even if Florida State and Clemson were to make a big announcement by the August 15th deadline this week, and then state that perhaps they want to leave the ACC in time for next football season, as far as we know, as of today, they don't have a new home to go to. They don't have a new conference to go to. Again, things have been quiet on that front. Maybe a bidding war would start up between the Big Ten and the SEC, maybe, for some of these ACC schools. Could it happen quickly? Maybe, maybe not. Depends how much has been going underneath the back rooms and under the table and conversations, or if it's been kind of quiet. I don't know how far along down the road there. Surely Florida State and Clemson have been talking to other conferences going, hey, if we get out of this deal, can we talk? Are we coming? There are some rumors about Big 12 being interested in swooping in too. But again, I don't know why you would make all this effort to leave the ACC and go to the Big 12, because Big 12 doesn't pay its schools much more than the ACC does. It'd be going from one bad situation to just a less bad situation. If you make this move, you're going to a big boy conference in the Big 10 or the SEC. Now, as we are on the eve of the college football season here, schedules and logistics are already in place for 2025 as well as 2024. So to change that over the next couple of weeks or months would be a pretty tall order. Not impossible, but certainly difficult. But my best guess right now, as of today, is that the mediation process is just getting started. It's not going to be solved by the 15th, and probably even gets contentious along the way. This August 15th deadline will probably come and go. And maybe a settlement gets reached late in the summer or the earliest deep into the fall. Who knows? And then everybody can take a breather and at a more reasonable pace and then make plans possibly for a major realignment shift in college football for the 2026 season. That's what I think. That's how this, unless something just happens in the next 24 hours, that's what I think is going to happen. What about you? What do you think? Always love your opinions on this. Many ways to reach me. Twitter at Talk Big Ten number 10. Comments on YouTube. You guys always go at it there. You can also email me if you want to reach out to our website, talkbig10.com. By the way, while you're there at talkbig10.com, all of our podcasts are all there in chronological order, and we also group them by team. While you're there, get some merchandise for your favorite team, getting ready for the 2024 college football season. It's all right there at your fingertips. talkbig10.com. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe. We are getting close to 10,000 subscribers. Our goal is 10,000 before the start of the season. I think, last I checked, we're like 150 away. Maybe you could be the one that puts us over the top. Subscribe and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you'll get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. All right, I got some Michigan news I came across. Jim Harbaugh is not going to be the honorary captain after all for the season opener. I'll share that with you. Plus some rare misses for Ohio State on the recruiting trail. And did the Big Ten get shortchanged in the brand new AP Top 25? We got all that coming up as we continue right here on Locked On Big Ten. Let me tell you about Game Time. You want to go to a Big Ten football game anytime this fall, or a Major League Baseball game before summer is up. Game Time is the app you need on your phone or your favorite device and get your tickets to anything. Game Time is right there. They're an authorized ticket marketplace for Major League Baseball, so getting baseball tickets is super easy. And frankly, a lot of times the closer to first pitch, the cheaper the prices are. So it makes getting tickets very fast and very easy. Prices on the Game Time app are great for all events, by the way. It's good for sporting events, theater, comedy, whatever you got going on in your local neighborhood. It's all there. And my favorite feature is they got pictures from the seats of the ticket you're about to buy right there on your phone. Before you make your final decision, boom, tap and go. That easy. Take all the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets and Big Ten tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, the redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, I want to thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Thank you very much. Spread the word to the non-everydayers. Some of you just check in every once in a while. Love to have you more often. I mean, we're getting close to the season here. Let's not miss a thing. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe on YouTube and share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And don't forget our website, talkbig10.com. And after you're done with us, enjoy a second listen with Locked On College Football. They have their own podcasts out there. Spencer McLaughlin is the host. Talks about once the season's going on, the games, but before the season, everything that's going on, expanded football playoffs, portals, NIL, recruiting, all that right there. So check it out. Locked On College Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right. Just before I was getting ready to put this podcast together, I heard that so Jim Harbaugh, apparently, we did a big story on this last week. That he was going to be the honorary captain for the season opener for the Michigan Wolverines, kind of a homecoming and a celebration of the national championship, and everybody's going to be all excited. Well, apparently he called Sharon Moore up, and he says he's not going to come, not going to serve as the honorary captain. And August 31st against Fresno State at the Big House, he says he wants to focus on his Chargers, and he doesn't want to take away from the 2024 team. I don't know, man. Sounds like something's missing from that story. Something happened, maybe. If there's more to it, we'll jump in on this tomorrow, okay? In the meantime, his parents, Jack and Jackie Harbaugh, will fill in his place on August 31st as the honorary captains. Also, as long as I have your attention, Michigan fan, J.J. McCarthy, who's now with the Vikings, played a preseason game and threw a couple touchdown passes, but apparently he tore his meniscus. Gonna need knee surgery. The meniscus is one of those things that doctors go in and they don't know until they get in whether they got to do a little trimming or a full repair job. So J.J. McCarthy will, they put you under for the surgery. He won't know until he wakes up. Hey, when we were in there, just a little trim, you're good to go in a couple weeks, or we need to do major repair and your rookie season's over already. Surgery is going to take place next week. So thought you'd want to know that, Michigan fan. Hey, it's no secret that Ohio State has been killing it on the recruiting trail. We talk about it here all the time, and they already have the top-ranked class of 2025. And they want to add to it, but August has been unusually bad for the Buckeyes. Last week, we told you about five-star safety Trey McNutt possibly seeing a crowded Buckeye secondary, decided that he is going to announce he's going to Oregon. Dan Lanning going to play out there instead. It's a good get for them. It's a long way from home. The kid's an Ohio kid, though. So it's from Shaker Heights. So it was a bit of a surprise. It was a surprise when we talked about it here last week. Now, 5-star offensive lineman Josh Petty committed to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech over Ohio State. He's also considering Florida State and Tennessee as well. He's from Roswell, Georgia, though. So he opted to stay close to home. Still a disappointment for the Buckeyes. And he now becomes the second highest rated recruit ever to commit to Georgia Tech. And the Buckeyes are hoping to get 5-star tackle David Sanders Jr., but he seems to be leaning to Tennessee, and he'll make his announcement on Saturday. Buckeyes, it's rare. You're missing out on some of these guys. Again, the Ohio State class of 2025 is spectacular. Number one in the country, but it'd be nice for them to hit on one of these offensive linemen for sure. News out of SoCal is that the University of Central Florida 4-star safety commit Kendarius Reddick has flipped from the Knights to the USC Trojans. Could get there. He had previously flipped from Auburn. So he committed to Auburn, decommitted, committed to Central Florida, decommitted, now he's going to USC. He's from Georgia, by the way. At Indiana, first-year head coach Curt Cignetti says that transfer quarterback Curtis Rourke has significantly separated himself from the field in the QB1 battle at Bloomington. Rourke is 6'5", 223 pounds, redshirt senior who transferred from Ohio. In 5 seasons at Ohio, he tallied 33 starts and was the MAC Offensive Player of the Year in 2022. Holdover Taven Jackson and freshman Tyler Cherry are battling for the number 2 spot. Cignetti says that Jackson is an athlete who's capable of making just a wild play every once in a while, but he needs more consistency on a play-by-play basis. Indiana opens up the regular season August 31st at home with a 3:30 kickoff versus Florida International. It's not often a true freshman, especially a true freshman offensive lineman, turns heads in his first fall camp, but that is exactly what is going on at Penn State with Cooper Cousins. We talked about him during spring ball. He was turning some heads there. Because others, we're talking about him back then, and apparently he's the real deal. I think this kid's gonna play as a freshman and on offensive line at Penn State. He's got some good size too. Look, James Franklin says it's going to be kind of hard to keep this kid off the field. He's from Erie, Pennsylvania. He enrolled early in January, so he's been around. That's why he was able to participate in spring ball. But at 18, he's 6'6", 316 pounds, started at right guard in the spring game. Franklin says he left practice one day at 10 p.m., the coach did, and he looked out and he saw Cousins on the practice field, 10 p.m. by himself, working on some pass blocking drills. He says he's one of the most driven players he's ever seen, ever been around. The Nittany Lions open the season at West Virginia, August 31st at noon on Fox. And some bad news for the Purdue Boilermakers. 2 projected starters look like they are out for the Boilermakers August 31st opener versus Indiana State. Corner Nyland Green is a foot injury, and wide receiver C.J. Smith has a bad hammy. Both, by the way, are Georgia transfers. Nice get there by the Boilermakers. C.J. Smith is the fastest player on the team. Head coach Ryan Walters was pretty positive, though. He said that Smith's hammy is responding to treatment, and he'll miss the opener. But they have that early bye week in week 2 on September 7th. That'll help him get back in time for the Notre Dame game on September 14th. So that's pretty good. All right. In the middle of the week, we like to do our power rankings, right? Well, we just decided we would take the AP Top 25, put it out. I got some comments on the whole deal. We're going to talk about how many Big Ten teams are in the top 25, in the top 10, and who's missing. Is it your team? Is it your school? All that's coming up next right here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, let's do it. We got our power rankings that we're going to do, and we're just going to use the AP Top 25 that came out this week, the preseason poll. I'm going to put it on screen. If you're an audio-only member, we'll describe it in detail. You won't feel like you're missing out, but thanks for listening, and we'll put it up right now, full screen. Here we go. So we got Georgia at number 1. Ohio State fan doesn't like that, but Ohio State's at 2, Oregon at 3. Ohio State and Oregon play each other October 12th at Autzen Stadium. That will be the game of the year. Texas at 4, Quinn Ewers. They're coming to the big house week 2, taking on Michigan. Alabama, Jalen Milroe. Michigan fans very familiar with him from the Rose Bowl. I think he's going to have a breakout year as well. I like Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss at number 6. Notre Dame is at number 7. 2 more Big Ten teams at 8 and 9. We got Penn State. And look, they love being 8 because if they can maintain that, they're a playoff team. The whole thing is, they're ranked 8 a lot. They're frequently a top 10 team. They haven't been able to be a top 4 team and make the 14 playoff. Now that we're a 12-team playoff, this is Penn State's sweet spot right here. Michigan in at number 9. Some people think they're way overrated because everybody left. Other people, I think, don't realize that they're going to be better than people think. I don't have a problem with Michigan at number 9. Maybe it's high by a spot or 2, but I think it's just about right. And Florida State at number 10. So by the way, we got 4 Big Ten teams in the top 10. That's pretty impressive. And Florida State getting some post-traumatic stress, right? They're at number 10. But again, 12-team playoff, floating on the edge. Are they going to get in? Are they not going to get in? Last year, they couldn't crack the top 4, and it was a whole big thing. What else we got here? Missouri, they've been good for a couple of years now at number 11, and Utah at number 12. Kyle Whittingham taking over for Urban Meyer, like 20 years ago? And just hasn't missed a beat. They've been good and solid every single year. You lose Urban Meyer, but you got a guy to replace him that was pretty good after all, right? Kyle Whittingham. All right, let's look at the rest here. At number 13, LSU. Don't forget Brian Kelly and LSU taking on Southern Cal for the season opener. Clemson at number 14. Dabo trying to get these guys to matter. It's been a couple years. Clemson's been a little quiet. Tennessee at number 15. Josh Heupel, they're expecting a big year. You got Oklahoma at 16. Welcome to the SEC. We'll see if they stay there or if they can rise with that difficult schedule. Oklahoma State at number 17 with their great rushing game. Kansas State at number 18. That's where Will Howard came from. Now he's the quarterback at Ohio State. Looks like he's going to be the starter, at least for the beginning of the season. And at number 19, the Miami Hurricanes. Cam Ward, Heisman talk around him. Tyler Van Dyke leaves Miami. He's now the quarterback at Wisconsin with Luke Fickell here in the Big Ten. Cam Ward is now the quarterback at Miami. People are expecting big, big things for him or from him. At number 20, Texas A&M, life after Jimbo. Every once in a while, I read an article that, hey, Texas A&M, not happy in the SEC, don't want Texas there, maybe a future Big Ten team. I don't know, just throwing it out there for later. 21, you got Arizona. It looks like Jed Fish left the program in good hands with the cupboard full before he took the Washington job. Kansas coming in at number 22. Southern Cal. I think Southern Cal at 23. I think they have the potential to maybe be the biggest mover toward the edge of the playoff hunt. I expect them to be closer to, say, 13, not 23 once we get going here this season. North Carolina, no Drake May for Mac Brown. They're at number 24. And then the Iowa Hawkeyes coming in. Again, Cade McNamara not looking that great, but the defense looks spectacular here this fall camp. Iowa at 25. So 4 Big Ten teams in the top 10, 6 in the top 25. There were a group of others receiving votes that included Big Ten teams. If this were to play out numerically, Washington would have been number 32. Nebraska would have been 35. I think they're going to be better than that. They're going to be, and Wisconsin at 36. I think Nebraska is going to be flirting inside that top 25 as well. So again, we're going to wait and see what Washington brings to the table. Wisconsin may surprise some people too. So anyway, those are my thoughts. We'll use that as our power rankings, the AP top 25, which came out this week. What do you think? Did your favorite team get jilted, or is that just about right? Somebody overrated? Love to hear from you on all of that. But that's how we see it here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, many ways for you to comment. You want to comment about these polls or these rankings or any other stories we did today or anything coming up on the Big Ten? Hit us up on Twitter or X. Talk Big Ten. It's the number 10 at Talk Big Ten. Our website, talkbig10number10.com. All of our podcasts are there. Check out another one. Check out yesterday's if you missed it. Be an everydayer. Catch them all right there. They are in chronological order and also grouped by your favorite school. Be sure we did Iowa yesterday. We did a story on Michigan the day before. If you want to catch up if those are your favorite teams, check it out on the podcast on our website where we file them all away, talkbig10.com. And don't forget comments on YouTube. No matter what you do, though, I'm going to ask you to subscribe. If you're on video, subscribe on YouTube and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. And do us another favor. Could you hit the share button, share with somebody you think, hey, this is pretty cool. I know you like Big Ten. Check this out. Go ahead and share it. That would really help us out a lot. Okay. After you're done with us, always invite you for a second listen. Enjoy Locked On College Football. They have a podcast each and every day too, talking about realignment and transfer portals and all that other stuff. Locked On College Football is available on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. There's a lot going on. Tomorrow will be the deadline. We'll keep an eye on those ACC schools in court to see if anything happens with Florida State and Clemson, and maybe there'll be a future expansion / realignment team in the Big Ten someday. So that's why we keep an eye on it. Plus, we do have actual Big Ten teams, 18 of them to keep track of. We will do that. We'll have something special for you tomorrow as we get a day closer to the upcoming season. Thank you for spending your time with us today. We never take it for granted. I already can't wait till we meet again tomorrow. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten. Talk to you then.